Good morning, respected teachers, batchmates, and juniors. Today I am going to present slight discussion on nodular fasciitis. First is definition. Nodular fasciitis comprises of benign, self-limited neoplasm of fibroblastic or myofibroblastic derivation, which may be frequently misdiagnosed as a sarcoma. Virtually all cases contain fusion genes of MYH9 USP6, which is the most common fusion product seen, although USP6 partners have also been identified. The tumors arise throughout the body. Common locations include the extremities, head and neck, and trunk. Most commonly, it originates in subcutis but may also arise in the dermis, fascia, and skeletal muscle. As we can see here, part of the WHO classification of tumors of soft tissue 2013 edition, we can see that nodular fasciitis is coming under the heading of benign lesions under the heading of fibroblastic or myofibroblastic tumors, as we can see here. So we'll discuss the clinical features now. Nodular fasciitis is a rapidly growing lesion. Most patients present with a solitary soft tissue mass of less than 1 month duration. Nerve compression may give rise to paresthesia, numbness, shooting pain, or tenderness. The most commonly affected age group is 20 to 40 years. Cases involving very young or very old patients are less frequent, and there is no sex predilection. Sites. It can occur anywhere in the body. The most common sites in order of frequency are first is upper extremity, that is volar aspect of forearm, then chest wall, then back, and then head and neck lesion. Especially in infants and children, the head and neck lesions are more common. Less frequent locations include lower extremities and hands and feet. Isolated cases have been reported in a variety of other organs or sites, including breast, parotid gland, external ear, oral cavity, and lymph node capsule. Histopathological features. Firstly, we'll see the gross features. Nodular fasciitis is a relatively well circumscribed but unencapsulated lesion. Cases located in deep fascia may be ill defined and infiltrate into the surrounding soft tissue. Most cases are smaller than 3 cm in size. The appearance of cut surface depends upon the degree of cellularity and relative proportions of myxoid and collagenous matrix. Lesions with copious myxoid material are soft with a gelatinous appearance. When collagenous trauma predominates, the lesions are firm and white tan, resembling fibromatosis. Why sometimes lesion may have myxoid material, whereas why some may have collagenous trauma? We'll delve deeper into this when we are discussing the microscopic features. So here are a few gross pictures. As we can see, they are always solitary masses, typically less than 3 centimeter, but they may grow up to 7 centimeter in rare cases. They vary from soft to firm. Peripheral margins may be circumscribed or infiltrative, and the color ranges from white to gray, tan, or light pink, and they also may have a glistening cut surface. As we can see here, the first picture, we can very easily make out the uh, well circumscribed lesion in the subcutis area. The second photo is showing us uh, nodular fasciitis in the breast parenchyma, and the third photo is showing us nodular fasciitis occurring in the lower lip, in the buccal mucosa of the lower lip. Microscopic features. Nodular fasciitis is a relatively well circumscribed but unencapsulated lesion. Cases located in deep fascia may be ill defined and infiltrate into the surrounding soft tissues. Focal entrapment of muscle or subcutaneous fat does not warrant a diagnosis of a higher grade lesion. As we can see here, they are usually well demarcated lesions. Most cases of nodular fasciitis are relatively well circumscribed. Those located in deep fascia or within skeletal muscle may have some irregular or infiltrative margins. Early lesions show zonation or maturation from hypocellular or hyalinized center to hypercellular periphery with scattered inflammatory cell. Based on the relationship of the main mass to the fascia, nodular fasciitis can be subdivided into subcutaneous, intramuscular, and fascial types. As seen in this picture, we have the subcutaneous type, which is the most common type. As we can see in this picture, it is a well circumscribed nodule attached to the fascia, and it grows upwards into the subcutis. On the other hand, when we consider intramuscular subtype, this one is also attached to the fascia, but the bulk of the lesion is within the muscle. Lastly, there is the facial subtype, which is poorly circumscribed with an irregular stellate growth pattern along the facial septa. The morphology of nodal fasciitis varies according to the age of the lesion. Earlier lesions, as I have already mentioned earlier, some lesions will show myxoid matrix and some will show collagenous matrix. So here we are explaining that earlier lesions often contain scant number of stellate or spindle cells in copious myxoid matrix composed of Alcian blue positive mucopolysaccharides, whereas the long-standing cases of nodular fasciitis show dense hyaline fibrosis. Now, one more thing we need to understand is uh, pattern of cell arrangement. The lesional cells of nodular fasciitis are uniform, plump, immature appearing fibroblasts and myofibroblasts resembling those seen in tissue culture. They are arranged in short, intersecting fascicles with a storiform growth pattern. The cells have oval to uniform nuclei with prominent nucleoli. Mitotic activity is brisk, that is 1 to 2 mitosis per 5 hyperfield. But there are no atypical mitotic bodies. Scattered lymphocytes, extravasited red blood cells, foamy histiocytes, and few multinucleated giant cells may also be seen. For immunohistochemistry, we can see that the lesion is smooth muscle actin positive, calponin positive, and muscle specific actin positive, and still it is desmin negative, and also obviously S100 and CD34 and epithelial membrane antigen negative. For differential diagnosis, we need to differentiate it from dermatofibrosarcoma protuberans, as it also may show a predominant storiform pattern, just like nodular fasciitis. But this will show diffuse expression of CD34, unlike nodular fasciitis. Also, we need to differentiate it from desmoid type fibromatosis, which shows a predominant fascicular pattern, but also it expresses beta catenin, which is not seen in nodular fasciitis. Also, there is fibrous histiocytoma, which has peripheral collagen, which may have peripheral collagen entrapment, and it will show variable expression of factor 13A. And it will have a mixed population, which will include foamy macrophages also. Thank you.